Welcome to the Reign of the Heavens, or Town of the Reign of the Heavens, fourth broadcast. Tonight, this is Keith and Tony, your host, and we have Tom on as guest. Say hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, jeez. Okay, yeah, we got some real jokesters tonight. All right. Okay. We'd like to get started on this program. We can basically state if we talk about anything about law or legal, we'll just say that we're not licensed attorneys, and whatever we say on this program is not a substitute for a licensed attorney. That being said, we don't have to worry about getting harassed. Okay. We had a real odd situation happen. Everyone knows, if they know about us, the Town of the Reign of the Heavens is connected with the government of the United States of America. We're not going to get into the government of the United States of America tonight. However, we do have an elected governor, and the North American National Party has had their election. There's been two of them so far. One was in 2013, and one was in 2015. We usually have our elections on December 1st. And they're perfectly lawful elections. It's a perfectly good political party. It has a platform and everything. You can go to the North American nationalparty.com if you'd like to go there and take a look at the platform and possibly join. So a lot of our office holders in the national government is on LinkedIn, and we connect with a lot of different people. LinkedIn has people from all over the world on it. So we have a lot of ambassadors and a lot of government folks and intelligence folks and all that kind of thing connecting to our national government offices. One that was particularly interesting was King Willem of the Netherlands. And if anybody knows anything or has been listening to our program, we know that King Willem runs the United States. We know this. Everybody else knows this around the world except for the people in this country, or in the U.S. And our governor connected with him, so the office I hold connected with him like a day later. And we put this in the newspaper, and we couldn't, we sent him a offer of peace and reconciliation. Now, everybody says, well, why do you do that? Well, there's a lot of reasons why we did that, to send him that offer. Well, we sent him the offer, and this guy, within 12 hours, takes off completely. King Willem did, of the Netherlands. It was 12 hours, and even the messages that were sent back and forth with him were removed completely from the database. Now you start questioning this. Well, was this a fake account and all this other stuff? And no, it wasn't a fake account. You go and look at his connections. He had 275 of them, and most of them were royals from around the world. So it's kind of hard to fake 275 royal connections or royal accounts. I mean, you really have to go through an extensive, thing. To do that, an elaborate type of hoax to do that. So I talked to some of his connections, and those connections did email back from a different email, different everything, and they all had different certain different offices they held, different companies that they run all around the world, and that's how the royals do it. All their relatives run companies for their crown. Each individual crown. So it was perplexing of why this guy took off so quickly. And it dawned on us about a couple of days later what had really happened. Now, let's follow through with this line of thinking. The United States is in Manhattan Island, and in Manhattan Island is the United Nations. The stock market just happens to be in Manhattan Island. Then you start thinking about all the stock markets around the world. And if I'm not mistaken, is there a stock market in every country, or is it just Just a few major ones. Anyone know?
I never really considered anything other than the World Trade Center and the World Trade going on there. I don't know if there's other trade markets anywhere. There may be, but I've never looked into it.
Okay, I know there's some. I know there's one in Hong Kong. I don't know if Russia has a stock market. We'll have to take a look around later on. But anyways, I'm sure we'll get a bunch of comments on that. Yeah, there's stock markets everywhere, dummies. Anyways, because I really don't follow the stock market at all. It dawned on us that each stock market that is within certain countries, the stock markets are rigged. Everyone knows this. When you go in there, the house always wins. So if the house always wins, that means the stock market is going to constantly bring in property. It's going to constantly bring in equity, people investing in it. It's going to constantly bring in more money than what goes out. That being the case, the Bank of New York Mellon boasts of $28 trillion on their website of assets. Yet, its federal government is $20 trillion in debt. Now, how can you have $20 trillion in assets and then claim a $20 trillion debt? So people struggle to pay this debt off over and over and over. We're in debt. We can't do it. We have to raise the debt ceiling. The whole economy is going to crash and all that. And this is constant. I've been hearing this since, 92, that the economy is going to crash. It can't keep sustaining the way it is and everything else. But I'm telling you, it can be sustained for that long. And we're going to tell you how. If the stock market is rigged, which most people know it is, that means there's a lot of assets going in, not a lot going out. If that's the case, where are those assets going and what is it going to support? If you look at the international stage and you talk to a lot of international folks and seeing what's going on around the world, not necessarily watching the news, it starts to dawn on you that the assets are being used to prop up a world government. So the stock markets were put there not to make or enhance an economy. It was there to draw assets from a country. It's like a huge gambling house that comes in. Or you can say it's like Walmart that comes in and just wipes out all small companies and brings everything into the one large company. Everybody ends up that used to own businesses now works for Walmart for $12 an hour or $10 an hour, whatever they pay. So the ones that could figure that out would be the people within our government would be able to figure that out, knowing what we know about Manhattan Island and Willem and its connections, and how it interacts with the British East India Trading Company, or the British, how it interacts with Hawaii, how it interacts with a lot of different countries that have kings in them. Each one of those crowns are endorsed by King Willem of the Netherlands. It's just hidden really, really well. That being the case, when you prop up a national government, a new one, or the original one, you bring that in, that becomes an extreme threat to this stock market process, this riches or assets removal from that particular government in that particular entity. Give you, for instance, the French used to use the franc, Spanish used the peseta, the Germans used the mark. Well, they all come together into an EU union, and then they centralize the stock market. Well, ever since then, they've been withdrawing or moving all of the assets into that stock market, where the control of the assets end up in the hands of a very few. They use those assets to prop up a world government. It's kind of like the Romans used to do. once a country gets rid of its national currency, it's no longer a country. That's when the United States turned into a federal corporation, is when it's, meaning Manhattan Island. You got to get that in your head, because when I say United States, most people think it's the District of Columbia, which is only the jurisdiction of the United States. It's not the United States itself. That's when it turned into, they turned it into a federal corporation. And by the way, the republic that they did have was not the type of republic that you would think. It's only in absence of a king. It was not the type of republic where the people voted. So at any rate, once it got rid of its national currency, then it became, it started using notes, private company notes. And once that happened, all the assets started moving quickly. Control of the assets, not necessarily the assets itself, but control of it. They wanted the control of it to be able to move the assets where they wanted the assets to go. So that's the reason why the guy took off so quick. If you want to read more about this this subject, you can go to reignoftheheavens.com, and it will say King Willem refuses a peace treaty, peace and reconciliation offer. So that being said, on the national currency side, what we were going to talk about the national currency tonight, weren't we?
Yep, that's right.
Yes.
What were we going to say? Does anybody remember? I'm drawing a blank here. Start using it?
Right.
Oh boy.
Okay. That being said, the $28 trillion in assets literally belongs to this government, which belongs to the states, which belongs to the people. Correct?
Yes.
Because the stock market cheated and removed it, and they have control of the assets, but really it belongs under the control of the government of the United States of America. And we're not talking about the 1789 Constitution. We're talking about the Articles of Confederation. It all falls back to the Articles of Confederation. So, that being said, begin to use your national currency again, which we do have available. You can start owning your money, or owning the property that you buy, instead of it under the control of a foreign monarch and then leasing it back to you. Now we're going to
creating a perpetual debt.
Do what?
Creating a perpetual debt.
Right, under the lease agreement.
Yep.
And that is an old trick of Louis Caspey-Shear. We'll get into him later. He's the one that started the Federal Reserve, and a lot of people don't know about him. But he used to own most of the country because of he ran all the railroads, and he's the one that I think it was it was a printing company or a paper company that he knew of, or that produced a new paper called the Chameleon paper that really soaked in ink and all that really well. He ended up taking that company over and leasing it back to the owner, and took the Chameleon paper. It's kind of a jerk he was, and that's basically their forte. They don't necessarily want your property. They will take control of your property and lease it back to you so that they get a piece of the pie all the time. If they do this over and over again, that's a big piece of pie, even if they're only taking $1 per product that you produce, or 50 cents, or even 1 cent. It really starts adding up, and that's basically their forte. So we do have a national currency available, and we had to reduce it or diminish it to what we call a foreign disaster relief program, and therefore it turned it into legal tender instead of lawful money. We do have the lawful money available that's pegged to the original silver certificate, because why? That silver belongs to this government. But since we didn't have it available to us because they want control of it and they're a little bit bigger than we are, we just came out with the national currency on legal tender, and under House Joint Resolution 192, it is legal to use. And that's called the Continental Dollar. If you'd like to go and take a look at it, we have it on reignoftheheavens.com and a couple of different publications. So the money is legal and is published. Now, that being said, I'm moving here pretty quickly. How did the stock market grab what it wanted from the states? How did it get into the states? Well, now we're back to private membership associations again. And there's a group of folks that actually prove this. We have it on our Facebook page. There was a group of folks that proved this beyond a shadow of a doubt based on some of the research that we were doing. And they tried it in one of the courts, and it absolutely worked. What they did was they said there was two different states. This was an organization that have claimed and do have an oath to the North Carolina, a fidelity oath, believe it or not. It's the official state website of North Carolina, and they describe it as an American republic. But they mention that there were two states within a state, which is strictly forbidden by all constitutions. And so there's two North Carolinas. One's the original, so the state of North Carolina is under the original constitution of the state of North Carolina. And then you have another North Carolina. Now, guess what that is? That's a private membership association run by the stock market. Since the names are so familiar and so similar, people don't see the difference. But the judges know there's a difference, and the lawyers know there's a difference. One is a private membership association under the same name, and it was also given a code. It was given a code of North Carolina was NC, I believe. That's their code. Now, North Carolina NC, with a code on it, that is what people like to refer to as the de facto state. And really, it's not a de facto state. What it is a private membership association that was created by the lawyers of the same name. They created a different, completely separate constitution that looks similar to the original one. They changed a few things here and there, and they created a Bill of Rights and all these things for themselves. Now, why did they do that? The reason why they did that is in order to serve the public, lawyers cannot accept titles of nobility. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Within their state, they do not have a title of nobility. They have claimed nobility under a title. They've given themselves immunity within their own private membership association. It has the appearance of a state. It has the appearance of laws. They even use the Capitol building because the people fell asleep and had no idea that that's what they were doing. But a private membership association called the American Bar Association that is running all of the states. Their states that they created. It happened after 1947. So the North Carolina UC, with the code on it, is not the original North Carolina. It's the state of North Carolina that's the original North Carolina under its state constitution. That's the Republic of by and for the people. North Carolina with NC in it, with all these little private courts in there that they show they're constitutional, that's a private membership association. Tony, did you look up associations in the UDHR?
Yes, that is Article 20 under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And under subsection 1, it reads, everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. And number 2, no one may be compelled to belong to an association.
Exactly. So if you start, what they did was they claimed and or challenged jurisdiction. And what he said was, is there's two different states of North Carolina. There's two different North Carolinas. And the one that you're in is not the original. The reason why is because the lawyer can't claim a title of nobility. In other words, he can't claim something, claim a law does not apply to him. So what does he do? He goes and creates his own association. The association becomes so large and massive, people can't tell the difference between that state and the original state. And they think when they're voting, in other words, when they register to vote within that private membership association, they believe they're in the state of North Carolina under the original Constitution of North Carolina. They don't know that that's an actual private membership association they're voting in.
Can we take it a step further and say that they are being compelled to belong to an association without knowing when that private membership association says that after 6 months of being in that state, quote unquote, that you are automatically a resident, which makes you a member of that private membership association, and you have to fall within the terms and conditions of that private membership association, such as codes and traffic laws and all of that stuff within that association.
You remember when we found the information about them wanting to create voting within the districts?
Remind me.
There was somebody who was pressing that they wanted, and it was turned down a few times with the Congress. They kept bringing up that they wanted people to vote within a district and not in the public or something. I forgot exactly what the article was, but we were reading about it, and they were turned down several times until one time they actually got it approved. So everyone now votes within the district instead of voting where they should be. So that would mean they took them out of where they should be voting and put them right into a district.
And it's a form of human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
That is human trafficking, folks.
Which is nefarious. It's a nefarious act.
They're not allowed to do that. They have to give full disclosure that they are not the original state of North Carolina, and that they don't operate as a republic. They have to tell people that they operate as an association. And that was why the decision of Marbury versus Madison, when they started associating the right of assembly to the word in the term association. So it meant, so they correlated those two words together and made it appear as if they meant the same thing. When assembly applies to a public assembly, you have the right to assemble in any public place. And then they split it in two and became an association, so you have the right to privately associate with others, contract with them. No one can be compelled to be a part of an association or anything of that nature.
And I was reading Article 12. It reads, "No one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his privacy." Well, doesn't that include associations?
Absolutely it does, both ways.
Right.
In other words, we can't really go after them as a government and as a public government and under the original public trust. We can't go after them unless they're committing nefarious acts. But at the same time, they can't come to any of the American nationals that have been documented and made their affirmation and their oath of allegiance and start taking us into their associations and start trying us. They can't do that either. That has been proven. We have gotten that established within at least 4 court cases. 5, actually. That their laws don't apply. It only applies to their associations. So whenever you see like Florida, you have the state of Florida, which is completely empty, by the way, because people were all trafficked to Florida and FL. It was given a code under the United Nations. There's some disturbing information. We realize that. It's very disturbing information. And a lot of people would say, what are you guys talking about?
Absolutely.
So what we're saying is the Department of Motor Vehicles, that's a private membership association within a private membership association. It's a private club. And believe me, you're not a trustee. You're not even a beneficiary of it. When you sign on, you're a member. And you're subject to every one of those policies, laws, rules, regulations, anything they want to come up with to extract your wealth, they do that.
Yeah, you're a non-voting member.
Yep. They give you illusion. Now, isn't this funny? Now, check this out. Okay, everybody was talking about the Trump-Hillary elections yesterday. Now, this is something that they kept saying over and over again today, which was interesting to me. I don't know if it'd be interesting to you guys, but they kept saying this over and over, that Hillary won the popular vote and that Trump got the electoral votes, all the electoral votes. Absolutely not true. But they had to keep saying it over and over again. They had to put the constant reminder that your vote did not matter. They had to tell you. That it was only the electoral votes that counted.
Yeah, that was a disclosure.
In the electoral college. And believe me, we saw we were watching all that last night, right? No, I mean, people were voting left and right for Trump. Hillary did not win the popular vote at all. Wasn't even close. But they just kept saying it again and again and again. They do have to give you notice. And that's one of their small notices that they say. That Hillary won the popular vote, which was completely untrue, but they say it that way anyways, and that Trump got the electoral votes. Those are the ones that counted. And they do this every year. They did it with Gore. Most of the younger folks don't remember the Al Gore, Al Gore Bush vote, where Al Gore got the popular vote, but Bush won the electoral votes. And that whole thing.
Yeah, but Bush came up.
Don't remember that.
Bush came up and said those numbers. I think those numbers will change in Florida.
Yeah.
Remember that? And that's when they did change.
Now, most people will say that's voter fraud, but really what it is it's not really voter fraud at all. What it is it's notice to you that your vote really doesn't count, even though if you get the popular vote, that the electoral votes are the ones that count. They keep saying that over and over again. They have to tell you that. Even though the people went out there in droves and voted, for Trump and all that, they did. They did do that. And then he did get the popular vote and the electoral vote. But yet they report that she got the popular vote and he got the electoral vote. You have to be very careful about what they say, how they say it, what they do, how they do it. They have to do it every time the same exact way. So they always say, listen carefully. You might learn something. So what we have now today is a private membership association doing business as a state and doing business as a government. That appears and is actually, the people have fallen so asleep that they are actually using the public buildings. And those guys aren't really told a lot of that, and they really believe that, I'm a congressman, a senator, whatever they want to call themselves, legislator. I'm a lawmaker within your association. However, the judges do understand it. And when you bring it up to them, all kinds of human rights start clicking in their heads. It's a state within a state, completely forbidden. When that is brought up, the proper objection is brought up to say, you're a private membership association. In this particular case, these guys did in fact do a fidelity oath to their state, and they are in fact citizens of the state of North Carolina. And they've been operating since 1999 or 1997, I can't remember which. And they're a good group of guys. They meet regularly, and men, women, and they've all done their fidelity, and they've fought the fight. And it's good to support them because they're right. They're absolutely correct in what they're doing. You might want to go take a look at them. We'll put a link on there on the front page on the message board to their website. You can go take a look at it. And just see how they did things. If you want to start making changes and you want your state to actually function the way it's supposed to, and not get into all this mess of trying to, being tricked into supporting a world government that you had no vote in, you had nothing to do with, and you're not even really a part of. You're just more of a slave of it. Did I miss anything tonight? Oh, property registration.
Right.
We have a site. It's called the United States of America 1781. I believe it's info, right? Isn't that
yes.
Okay. Did Alice put up the information for property registration?
I have no idea.
Okie dokie. Now, what we're doing is you can record a deed within our Office of Deeds and Recordings, and that puts your property back within your original state because of this national government is within the United States of America 1781 style. That's the original government, and that's the way it works. It was called a confederacy, and we transferred into our North American National Party. It was called the Confederation Party at the time. Revamped the original Confederacy. Everything was done through notice, waited 90 days, put it in the newspaper, notified the Private Bureau on International Law. The Bureau of Private International Law at The Hague. Notified them, put it in the newspaper, did everything we needed to do, waited 90 days, nobody claimed it, nobody objected, so we went ahead and revamped that original Confederacy of 1781. We basically had a constitutional convention and did what was supposed to be done, which was amend the Articles of Confederation, not completely replace it. That being said, we have chain of title all the way back to there. And the chain of title goes back further, and that's in the name here. It's called Town of the Reign of the Heavens, and we can go into the chain of title here in just a few minutes. But you can, in fact, record your deed within the original state. Now, guess what, guys? The original state does not recognize the money that you use. The Federal Reserve note. It doesn't recognize it because it's not money. They only recognize gold and silver certificates. I'm talking about the state itself. The Constitution itself within that state does not recognize the money that you are using. You are using black market currency with religious symbols all over it. Anybody believe this is a Christian nation? Tony? Tom?
Not according to those symbols on the currency.
That's right, because there was all Illuminati symbols on the currency. So think about this, guys. Those that are devout Christians, why would you use money that has another religion on a symbol on it? Another religious symbol. An Illuminati symbol, by the way. If you're a Christian, why wouldn't you use money that has a cross on it, or some other dove, or some other kind of symbol that symbolizes Christianity? Now imagine how this looks. Look at the back of the $1 bill. You have that Illuminati symbol, the eyeball on the top of the pyramid. That's a private religion. That's a religious symbol. You go over to another country and you tell everybody you're a Christian. Those people in the other country know that that's an Illuminati symbol on the back of that, and you hand them Illuminati money. So what did you just do? How does it appear? It appears to them you're lying.
Well, okay. even further on the same currency, while they're using Illuminati symbols, in the same breath, it also says, "In God we trust."
Mm-hmm. So you have Illuminati symbol on the back, which is a private religion, private membership association, religious organization, 501c3. And then on the front, you've got "In God We Trust." So which God are they talking about?
Right.
Then you tell people that you're a Christian. You go over to other countries, you hand them Illuminati money. So what did you just do to them? You lied to them. They look at the back of your dollar bill. If they know that's an Illuminati symbol, they're going to go, "This guy ain't Christian. He's Illuminati." Believe it or not, since your constitutions only recognize certain money, which is gold and silver certificates or whatever else they have, gold, silver coin, that kind of thing, that means you've got black market securities or black market money that you're using. If you want change in this country, you got to clean it up. Clean up what you're doing. You're in all kinds of violations. Violations of law, violations of law of nations, violations of religious rights. You're in violations of everything. And what we're trying to do is clean it up. And the only reason why we have the broadcast like this is to point out these things and the things that need to be worked on and concentrated on. And that's why we ask you to use our national currency. We don't have any religious symbols on it at all.
That's correct.
It is nothing more than a national currency. So, that being said, we've got, you can go over to the United States of America 1781.info, hit contact, and you can contact the registrar to simply record your deed. It's already been recorded. You can record it again. Then you can notify the other folks in the county that you recorded it over here with this government. We're not trying to grab it. We're not trying to control it. We're not trying to do anything other than change its jurisdiction.
All you're doing is just changing jurisdictions.
You're going back to your original states. You're bringing your property back to the original states. So that should be very helpful for you. I don't know. I think we should charge $15 to do that.
That sounds fair.
I thought that's what she did.
Oh yes, that's what it is.
Okay.
No, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. So, just because what we need to do is we need to get probably 5,000 into a lot of people's hands and get them to find a way to use this money. Get the banks to start taking it, especially the local banks, to get this country back on track. One man's not going to be able to do it, guys. It's going to take everyone here. It took everyone to create a movement to wake up and know that there's a problem and that we don't want nuclear war. We don't want massive death. We don't want all these things, and we want to go into a different direction. If it took all of you to do that, a bunch of people to do it, by the way, it was a massive movement, then what makes you think that your job is over? You cannot rely on one man or one political party to get it done. The people have to do it. And that start is with a national currency. Get back to your original roots. People that fought and died for you to have freedom and to have a republic within your states are probably turned over in their graves. They want you to have this. It's very clear that that's what they want. And the people here today want this. They just need a little direction. One man in one office is not going to be able to do all of it. And he's definitely not going to be able to change it in 4 years by himself. It's up to the people. Now, whether the continental dollar is the caveat to United States dollar and back to gold and silver, whatever, it did its job. It did what it was supposed to do. But believe me, we've got plenty of it. We can loan it out. We can pay mortgages off with it. There's a lot of things we can do with it. And what you're doing is when you transfer and or you transfer jurisdictions, you record your deed with our government. What you are doing is taking those assets that were stolen by the stock market into the Bank of New York Mellon, and you're transferring it back to your country. One house at a time. Doesn't hurt anything. At all. It doesn't hurt anything just to record a document in another place. Say you don't believe anything we're doing, what's it going to hurt you? It doesn't mean we can take your property and all that. You just might get out of paying taxes on the property because it's back in the original state. What could it hurt? Tom, see any issues with it?
Nope.
Not on this end.
Okay, I think that's about it, guys. I think we got a state within a state. I think we covered everything we need to do there. We have the human trafficking issue. And I'm going to go back over one more thing, and I know that people are going to want to hear again because they'll probably go back and back. It's a completely opposite. Lawyers did not accept any foreign titles of nobility and or accept a title of nobility. What they created was their own title and created a nobility under it and gave themselves immunity from their own laws. Unless their laws became, in other words, unless they did something that was so heinous and nefarious that they were busted by their own people. It was getting so bad that they had to change their image. Now, the one thing, I do want to bring this up before we end this program. The one thing that they do is these guys that were citizens of the original state, first of all, the lawyers will make fun of them because they don't want anybody else to know. That's what happened. That they've created a state within a state. Number two, they're going to play the recognition game. And the reason why they don't want to recognize something like that, and recognition is simply more than hiding evidence. They don't want any evidence of the original state within their state that they created. It blows the whole scam. Blows the whole thing. And their whole, money grabbing and everything else goes away. So they don't want it to go away, so they're going to deny all the way until the end. And then all of a sudden they have to admit it. Yep, that's what we're doing. So we're not saying that a judge is not a judge. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is a judge is only a judge within that private membership association. He's not a public judge. He's not a court of public record. Don't believe us? Go try to get the public record on traffic cases. Very hard to get that on public record. Or to even have a public trial on it. Anything else you guys want to add before we end? This thing is chock full of information.
Yep, it's a lot for people to think about.
Yeah, a lot to think about right there.
Okay, let's get into it. We are coming out with citizenship of the town of the Reign of the Heavens, and you can go to the website and apply if you'd like. We're also going to be issuing town ID cards, right? Reign of the Heavens ID cards?
Yep.
We also offer dual nationality with the Reign of the Heavens. And those people that call it a cult, just remember, there were some that were doing that. They were actually, believe it or not, calling the Reign of the Heavens a cult. Just remember, you're using Illuminati money. So who's in the cult and who's not? You're a Christian using Illuminati money. Don't call it a cult. Reign of the Heavens is in literal country. And believe it or not, it is the origins of what Christians used to be called before they were called Christians by the Catholics. They were called Reign Believers and or Reign Nationals and or part of the Reign of the Heavens. We came up with the name Yahushua. Tom did, actually. It's a pretty good name because it was created by Yahushua. So guys you know as Jesus created the Reign of the Heavens, the actual country. That gives you some food for thought.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Town of the Reign of the Heavens. If there are any questions, please leave your questions or comments on the townofthereignoftheheavens.com, and we'll definitely address them on the next week's program. Anybody have anything else to say before we turn on, before we end this program?
Nope.
Nope.
Not that I can think of, no.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Tom, for joining us, and thanks, Tony, for being such a gracious host. And we'll talk to you guys next week, Wednesday night.
Thank you, Val.
Everyone.